Hello again. So let's talk about some more artists that no one really cares to talk about anymore, and that's Katy Perry. So she's returning with a new album. I believe it's called 143. It's dropping September 20th, if I'm not mistaken. And the premier single Woman's World is not doing good. So have a critic score of a 20% and a user score of a 19%. And when it comes to the numbers, it doesn't crack the top 10, doesn't crack the top 20, doesn't crack the top 40, doesn't even crack the top 50. Drops to number 63 on its debut of the Billboard Hot 100. It's been a couple weeks. I wouldn't even be surprised if it's even on the list anymore. And I just find that it's very interesting at Katy Perry's point in his of her career of how far things have gone down. And I remember, and that's why these two albums are here. I remember in 2017 when Witness released, I told myself, it's just like, maybe this is like, I'm trying to get more into music more seriously. I'm trying to give other artists chances. Maybe Witness will be an album that I can gravitate towards and say, hey, this is actually a pretty decent album. No. So, Witness era Katy Perry was interesting, mostly because there was a lot of the push for Hillary Clinton to get the presidential candidate to become a president. This was also the time where she had the tag of purposeful pop. She had the controversy with Bon Appetit with Migos, which was ridiculous. You also had Swish Swish, which was, I believe, a diss towards Taylor Swift. But overall, when you really looked at the album, it did not do well at all. Sure, 180,000 first week sales, like it's decent enough. But Katy Perry was a major mega artist at the time, and you think she would sell more. Just all the singles fell flat, and the album in general just wasn't really that much to write home about. I do like Tsunami off the record, but that's pretty much it. But to continue on, I don't think Katy Perry is really like an album artist. She's more of a singles artist. And with Smile that came out in 2020, that showed even more that she's really not an album artist. Critic score of a 56 and a user score of a 55. So everything's falling around the 50s for the past two albums, and it only sold 50,000 first week. Now, let's preface that it was in 2020. It was just getting into the pandemic or around that period of time. So music and sales in general did suffer. But this album really just kind of came and went for a lot of people. There was the single Smile, which actually plays in where I used to work like a ton of times. But now we've reached a point where Katy Perry stepped out of the limelight. She took Las Vegas residency, and she kind of is like basically just become a mainstay on the Las Vegas Strip when it comes to artists and performing and all that kind of stuff there too. So now we are stepping into 2024. And Katy Perry has now dropped herself into a pop landscape that has drastically changed. That is even changed in its sound, and a lot of people are especially a lot more critical of what's going on, especially in the pop scene, because we are getting actually very highly chart topping artists that are bringing some quality material. Billie Eilish, Olivia Rodrigo, and so many others, Charlie XCX, are starting to really pioneer this high quality sound of pop, but also bringing the numbers behind it. So then here comes Katy Perry, who used to really have the reins all over the radio. She had these amazing singles that charted incredibly well. And she stepped out of the limelight because she was starting, in my opinion, she was really starting to get out of touch. And Women's World is the prime example of how out of touch she has become. Not even just in the controversies behind this thing. So I'm just going to get to that for a second. So the Women's World music video, I get about women's empowerment. I get about trying to push for women's equality and showing how proud you are being a woman. I just don't know if putting a gas station pump in your ass is really a way to do that. That's a real thing in the video. I'm not sure if putting Trisha Paytas in the video is the best way to do it either. I'm not sure if gratuitous boob shots are the best way to do it either. So a lot of people push back saying it's just like it was mocking more of the women's empowerment movement, only for her to say a couple of days later about the music video saying it's just like, oh, it's satire. So we're not supposed to care about it then. So what do you really want? And it seems that Katy Perry just finds these weird ways and marketing tactics that really just don't land. Again, the Witness era is a prime example of how things just don't work. And now she is pushing back to try to get back into the limelight with this new album. And now let's talk about the music side of it. Also, not to mention, too, Dr. Luke is the producer on this, and especially if you're trying to push for women's empowerment, maybe using Dr. Luke is not the best way to do it, but it's a mess. So, when it comes to the song, it's really bad. And it's not even like garishly bad, like to the point where you're just like doing like this and you can point and laugh at it. It is just monumentally boring. And for an artist or even a producer with like Dr. Luke that's had hits upon hits upon hits with multiple different artists, and that he's really crafted a sound that was really made to make numbers and make the radio. This beat sucks. This beat is absolute garbage. It just sounds super generic. It sounds like it's trying to revitalize that 80s sound that people are still trying to do, but it's just done such in a bland way. And I'm so glad I can shit all over this beat because Dr. Luke is a terrible person, and I'm glad to just absolutely tear this song into the ground. But then it goes into the lyrics of the song, which is so just generic, transparent. There's no kind of specific kind of point of reference to to the messaging. It's just basically saying she's powerful, she's dangerous, she's has so much power, she's a fighter, she's a champion. And it's just there's all these like empty platitudes leading to absolutely nothing. There's no kind of messaging towards. It's just this sloganeering. It's just like you're a fighter, you're a star, you're powerful, you're beautiful, which there is a place for that. I can think of examples like Megan Trainor that's kind of still doing these kind of really surface level pop music. There's still a scene for that. Now, I don't think that's really catering to the younger demographic, but that's just me talking at this point and also me being a man. So it doesn't really cater to me to begin with. But it's really interesting to see an artist that was so big back in the day, and it's hard to believe back in the day, it was like 10 years ago, is trying to come into a sound that, for myself, as I was saying, is pushing more into quality music. Hit Me Hard and Soft is one of the best albums of the year. Charlie XCX's Brat is becoming one of the best albums of the year as well. Olivia Rodrigo has Sour and Guts, two great pop records. And another big important thing about those albums too is that the writing has gotten so much better, has gotten so much more substantive. And I think the general audience is really gravitating towards more quality music. Now, sometimes that can vary. Look at TikTok as an example, and kind of like trends and some awful songs that do get some traction here and there. But I think overall, I think the general audience is starting to kind of realize that they want something more substantive. They want something a little bit more potent, especially with their songs. And I don't think Katy Perry has really got the message of that yet. Or she's using these substantive moments, or she's trying to push them in the worst ways possible to where it seems very preachy. It feels very surface level, and it really doesn't hold any weight behind it. So I can't wait to review this album if singles like this exist. And I hope Dr. Luke produced more of this stuff because I can't wait to shit all over that record and shit all over Dr. Luke. So I can't wait for that. But I just kind of wanted to do a quick breakdown of this. So what are your thoughts on everything? Are you going to listen to the Katy Perry album? Don't worry, I will listen so you won't have to anyways. But yeah, we're at an interesting time. And September 20th is going to be a fun day, that's for sure. Thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. You can dislike if you want to, it's fine. And I hope you have a good afternoon.